We are live. We are live. Welcome to College Football's Peek Around the Corner with your host, Greg Pflugar. We cover everything in college football because we love everything in college football. And if you do as well, please subscribe to our channel, ring the notification bell, smash the like button, share the video. If you want to support this college football rebel outpost with a donation, help us keep the lights on and grow the channel, just hit that $ where you make a comment and I'll get to your super chat as quick as I possibly can. Welcome everybody into the studio that sits on the corner, the very corner of Keith Jackson Parkway and Kurt Gowdy Avenue. Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid to become a legend with your comments and with your phone calls. Congratulations to the Indiana Hoosiers, the Ole Miss Rebels, holy smokes, the Oregon Ducks with a big win over the Texas Tech Red Raiders, Indiana, Oregon, Miami, and Ole Miss, congratulations, getting into the semifinals. And again, this might sound like I'm a schmuck. It might sound like I've gone soft. I don't think so. But congratulations. Congratulations to the Georgia Bulldogs, Ohio State, Texas Tech Red Raiders, and Alabama. Because you made it to the quarterfinals. And there's a lot of teams that would have loved to get to the quarterfinals. There is one. I'm trying to be I'm trying to be kind here. There is one complete moron. That's the kindest way I could put it. There is one complete moron on X that is describing the Texas Tech Red Raiders season, spending all that money, as a complete failure. If you think the Texas Tech Red Raiders season is a complete failure because they lost to Oregon Ducks, who also spent a lot of money, then maybe you should not be watching college football anymore. Maybe you should get a different hobby. Maybe you should ditch that burner account. Maybe you should ditch your fake persona. Anybody who believes that the Texas Tech Red Raiders season has been a failure because they did not make it to the semifinals, man, you are not a you are a complete moron. Guys, there's only one team that wins it all. There's only one team that wins a national title. And I get it. As much as a Golden Gopher can understand, and I do not walk in your shoes, I get it. There's great expectations. The Buckeyes should win it all. The Georgia Bulldogs should win it all. The Alabama should win it all. All these teams think they should win it all, or they believe they should go to the semifinals. But that's not how it works. There's only one team that can win it all. There's only 4 teams that can make the semifinals, and they're all spending a lot of money. They're all committed. They've all got great coaches. They've all got great players. They all got injuries. You've got luck going this way. You've got bad luck going that way. To sit here and say this team is a complete failure because they did not make it to the semifinals. I mean, grow up. Especially when your team has spent $25 million for the last decade and you haven't finished above 500 in Big Ten conference play for 9 years. Your team hasn't beat the Minnesota Golden Gophers in 2,632 days in a row. And you're complaining and bitching about the Texas Tech you're mocking the Red Raiders. The Red Raiders would have destroyed your team. The Red Raiders would have put your team, shoved you in the locker, and destroyed you. And I'm not a Red Raider fan. I think the Red Raiders are as evil as the Bulldogs, the Buckeyes, and those Badgers. No, they're not quite as evil as the Badgers. And that takes me to this other subject. Again, I'm trying to understand. I know you've all got high expectations for your team. You spend a lot of money on those tickets. You might donate to the collective. Right? You buy merchandise. I get it. You expect to win. But so does the other team. So does the other coaches. So does the other fans. So do the other administrators. They're spending a whole lot of money. They're coaching up their players day in, day out. They're in negotiations with their players. The Texas Tech Red Raiders had an incredible season. I'm sorry, they did. The Georgia Bulldogs, they won the Southeastern Conference Championship. Big time season. I get it. You expect to win it all. I get it. But you still had a great season. The Buckeyes still had a great season. Ryan Day is not going to get fired. He should not get fired. Everybody Yeah. I mean, but that topped it all. The Red Raiders had a failure of a season because they got 0% return of investment on their $25 million. Are you out of your mind? The Texas Tech Red Raiders, they broke through. There is more demand for the Red Raiders on TV. There's more demand for the tickets. The brand value has gone straight up. The fans are going wild. They've embraced NIL. They've got guys willing to support. They've got Joey McGuire who broke through. The Texas Tech Red Raiders won the Big 12 championship. They're going to be able to stack up another class. And you're saying they didn't get any return of investment? What are we talking about here? I tell you what, 99% of the Nebraska Cornhusker fan base is absolutely brilliant. They are committed. They are a great fan base. They are an incredible fan base. I have said this over and over and over again. I've got a lot of Cornhusker fans that I talk to on X constantly, day in and day out. Some of you know that. Some of you are Cornhusker fans. But you've got that 1% that is still only exists because of their bitterness towards the Big 12. That's the only reason why you have that stupid Twitter account. Because of your bitterness towards the Big 12. Because Nebraska left the Big 12. Oh my God. Oh no. And the Big 12 people have been giving you elbows because you haven't won anything. Because you can't win any football games in the Big 10. So then that 1% of the Cornhusker fan base is so bitter. Everything they do on X has to do with trying to bury the Big 12. What a moron. What an absolute moron. Welcome in, everybody. We're going to be talking about... I had to say that because people are going way over the tip of their skis. Way over the tip of their skis. Burying every single program, every single coach that hasn't made it to the semifinals. And I think that's ridiculous. Congratulations to the Ole Miss Rebels, by the way. Coach Golding, what an incredible job keeping that staff. Some of that staff a lot of that offensive staff is going to leave. They might even leave before the semifinal game, which is a crazy story out there. But Coach Golding has done an incredible job. Trinidad Chambliss, a Division II prospect, a Division II transfer. Wow. Lacey, again, I'm going to give props. I'm going to give props to Lane Kiffin. I'm going to give props to the coaching staff. Last year, Ole Miss was not physical enough on offense. They recognized that. They became physical on offense this year, and they got the job done. The defense is not elite, but the offense is gorgeous, and Ole Miss is in the semifinal. Ole Miss Rebels are in the semifinals along with the Indiana Hoosiers, along with Miami. It is unbelievable. And along with the Oregon Ducks. So congratulations to Ole Miss. Wow. And Georgia, because I haven't talked about this. Georgia. There is something... what is going on with... Now, I've talked about this over and over again. And I don't know if we got any Georgia Bulldog fans in the chat room. I'm giving a quick check here. Don Scruggs is here. Hi, everyone, heading home from a glorious weekend in Georgia. And Don Scruggs is sick of me is sick and tired of me talking about this, but do the Georgia Bulldogs use their running backs properly in that offense? They did not use those running backs properly last year. Now, they scored a lot of points. Don't get me wrong. Georgia's offense was not the problem. They couldn't stop Ole Miss again. But there's something about Georgia that does not have a consistent identity on offense. There's something weird. There's something missing there from Georgia. And I can't quite put my finger on it. But anyways, the big story, we're going to go through some big news in the portal. We got some big news in the portal. But the Big Ten caving on CFP is Silent Tony caving on CFP, the future college football playoff format. Now, I do see in the chat room a lot of comments about 24 is too many, Greg. 16, we should go to 16. 24 is the perfect number. But when I'm talking about Big Ten, are they caving? Are they caving? It isn't just about the number of teams in the college football playoffs. Is the Big Ten caving on 5 plus 11? Are they not even getting a 2-2-2-2? They're not getting a 4-4-2-2-1-3? Are they actually caving on a 5 plus 11? Are we actually going to a 5 plus? Are we going to where the committee is going to select 11 at large from 7 to 11? I poked and prodded on this. I asked some questions today because I saw what Brett Yormark said, and I'm going to get to Brett Yormark comments in a moment. And again, Brett Yormark has been a wonderful commissioner of the Big 12, but he has disappointed me greatly when it comes to playoff discussions. But I poked and prodded on this question. And I got an answer. I got an answer from somebody who is positioned as chatter behind the curtain. And boy, I do not like that answer. I do not like the answer of the question that I asked. And my question was, if the Big Ten is caving on 5 plus 11, why are they caving? What is making them cave? And I got an answer. And when I got that answer, I almost dropped the phone. And second, I said, this is what we're going to be talking about on our live show, January 2nd. So that is what we're going to talk about here in the back half of the monologue. We are going to get through some portal news. We also got some coaching stuff going on. People are talking about it. Andy Kotelnicki is coming back to Kansas. Lawrence, Kansas, to be, I believe, the offensive coordinator and the assistant head coach. So congratulations to Rock Chalk Jayhawk. Kotelnicki did a fantastic job at Lawrence, Kansas. Did he do a fantastic job at Penn State? I'm going to give him a pass. I'm going to give Kotelnicki a pass on it. And the reason why I'm giving him a pass on it is because James Franklin has gone through plenty of offensive coordinators, and none of them have really worked. He's gone through them like crazy. So Andy Koltenicky back to Kansas. Congratulations, Rock Chalk Jayhawk. It's gonna be very interesting going into next season. So congratulations on that. Yeah, let's talk a little bit here. Hold on a second here. I screwed up my. Let's talk a little bit here about some quarterbacks. Even a blind pig picks up an acorn once in a while, Bob Swanger. I want to talk about Sorsby before I get to the other quarterbacks. So, Brendan Sorsby, you guys know I like Brendan Sorsby. You all know that. I liked him when he was at Indiana. Before he transferred when he transferred to Cincinnati, I came on here and I said that is a big, big win for the Cincinnati Bearcats. I'm pro Brendan Sorsby. So he played at Indiana. He plays 2 years at Cincinnati. And now we are getting word that he's going to visit here. He's going to visit there. He's going to visit Texas Tech. He might visit LSU. We're getting a few different reports on Brendan Sorsby. The numbers that are being reported about Brendan Sorsby, they can't be real. $5 million for Brendan Sorsby? $6 million? $7 million? That's what's being on 3. That's what they're putting out there. For Brendan Sorsby? He ain't worth that much. Come on. That's got to be, those numbers have got to be put out there by his agent. Right? Those can't be real, right? They cannot be real. He's not worth that much, in my opinion. I know, look, whatever the market is. But the market can't be Brendan Sorsby at $5 million. Now, again, you are worth what you can get, right? That's the free market. But somebody's willing to pay Brendan Sorsby $5 million? He's a good quarterback. He's good. But he ain't that. In my opinion, unless he goes to another level. He's a good quarterback, but he ain't that. Now, who's willing to pay him $5, $6, $7 million? Well, you got the Texas Tech Red Raiders out there, right? And I said at the beginning of the season, and I said it before the playoffs began, the one weakness of the Red Raiders was their quarterback position. Not that Baron Morton was a bad quarterback. He was a good quarterback. He had a very good career. Congratulations. Congratulations to Baron Morton for a fantastic career at Texas Tech. You led the Red Raiders to the Big 12 championship game. But he could not make those off-schedule plays. He could not make those. He had a very high floor, but his ceiling was a little bit lower than everybody else that was in the playoffs. And he was also nicked up. To be fair to him, he has been nicked up. Gutsy guy, good quarterback, great competitor, but the Red Raiders, they want to elevate their quarterback position for next year. You can't blame them. They have the money. So, what has the Red Raiders seen in Brendan Sorsby at Cincinnati? I mean, they looked at his tape. They think he might be the answer. He can run. There's no question about it. He's got mobility. He knows how to run for first downs. He's got a good arm, a very good arm. I don't think it's elite. I don't think he's an elite quarterback. I think he's a very good quarterback. And the Red Raiders, if they're willing to pay him that much, if he gets in a bidding war with somebody else, LSU is willing to pay Sorsby $5 million? Really? Sam Levitt? On3 reporting, Kentucky sits in a strong position to land former Sun Devil Sam Levitt, who has also been linked to Miami, Oregon, LSU, Texas Tech. Kentucky, with new head coach, former offensive coordinator, a great offensive coordinator for the Oregon Ducks, Will Stein, is going to land Sam Levitt. Wow. Now, of course, it's not official. It's not official. But if Sam Levitt goes to Kentucky, the ripple effects on Miami, Oregon, LSU, Texas Tech, I can see it. It ramps up a little bit. It helps Brennan Sorsby. It helps Brennan Sorsby. It helps Brennan Sorsby that Sam Levitt would go to a Kentucky. Right? Because suddenly Brennan Sorsby is one of the most beautiful quarterbacks, the belle of the ball, right? Everybody wants to get her name on the dance card. Get her name on their dance card. Sam Levitt, off the board. Brennan Sorsby. And we've got some more portal stuff. Let me get to some very kind donations here. We've got Ricky Tungate. Ricky Tungate. By the way, Ricky Tungate, Mr. Hoosier, congratulations on the Indiana victory. And thank you so much for your $5 holler donation on a previous video or live show. I did see that $5 holler come in, and I did not say thank you to you. I apologize. So thank you very much, Ricky Tungate. I very much appreciate it. And he just sent out a gift membership to Mountaineer Memes. So Mountaineer Memes, when you get an opportunity, please say thank you to Ricky Tungate for his generosity. Both of you are knighted Cloak and Dagger. And it's really important. It's really important in my opinion. If you ever want to become a member of this program, I would do it right now at the start of the off season. Well, we're not quite at the off season, but we're getting there. I said that this off season, we're going to be going back to doing our early P Cloak and Dagger episodes and episodes that everybody can watch. But the early peak ones are member only. We give you the early Cloak and Dagger peek and what is going on in the background of college football. We released episode 61 earlier today. So if you are a member, you got to keep your head on a swivel. You got to check if an early P Cloak and Dagger member episode had been released. We released one today. And we are going to go through that on the live show tonight for everybody to listen to the information that we are about to deliver to you all. And it has to do with the Southeastern Conference and the Big Ten talking with each other once again on a particular subject. So we're going to go through that in the monologue in this live show. If you are a member of this program, you've already seen the episode. You've already got the information, and you are ready to talk about it tonight. If you want to become a member of our program, a member of our family here at PATC, go to the description box below the video. There's a link provided. Hit the link and become a member. Thank you so very much. Ricky Tungate, thank you for offering that gift and membership to to Mountaineer Memes. Thank you so very much. And for the $5 holler earlier today. We've got Greg the Buckeye Super Chat. Super Chat. Looks like Coy Pirich might be heading to Ohio State. Thank you for the $5 holler, Buckeye Greg. Coy Pirich, I said this a couple of days ago. Our report, Minnesota 247 by the great Ryan Burns, reported that it was either coming back to Minnesota, going to Ohio State. Miami is in the mix. I have not heard of Oregon yet. For some reason, the Buckeye message boards believe that it's between them and Oregon. I have not heard the Oregon steam. I think it's between the Buckeyes and Miami because I think there's interest in Coy Pirich getting back with defensive coordinator Corey Heatherman. And the reason for that is Coy Pirich had a phenomenal freshman season. All-American freshman. Freshman All-American. He was sensational. This year, in his sophomore year, he first 7 games, he completely slid off the table. The last 4 games, you saw the spark a little bit in Coy Pirich, made some really good plays. But the first 7 games, except for maybe the Purdue game, a lot of missed tackles. He did not grade it out well. He was not our best safety on our team this year. So if he goes to the Buckeyes, if he goes to Miami, and if he is the guy that he was in his freshman season, you've got a guy who can win a game for you, win a couple of games for you. That he was that good. If you get him as he played as a sophomore, he ain't going to see the field at Ohio State. So I don't know, man. It's tough that we lost him, that we're going to lose him. But we don't know what we were getting in the 3rd year. For whatever reason, the decline from year 1 to year 2 was steep. But that looks like that's probably not going to hold him back for getting a whole lot of. He was getting over $1 million. He was getting a lot of merchandise sales at Minnesota. He was the #1 merch seller, so he was making a lot of money. He's going to make a lot of money wherever he goes. So I wish him all the luck in the world. Coy Pirich, good kid. Hopefully he gets back to the elite play. And I'm going to be watching him as a Buckeye, as a Hurricane, as a Duck, wherever he ends up. So anyways, he might be going to Ohio State. No question about it. Incredible athlete. Unbelievable athlete. But a whole lot of missed tackles and busted plays and fumbles as a returner and a fair catch at the 1-yard line. I mean, I don't know what was going on with Pirich this year, but hopefully he gets back to his elite play. On 3 said Ohio State and Oregon have no interest in him. I have not seen that. Send that to me if that is, somebody send me a link on that. Look, if you watch his freshman tape, you want him. If you watch the sophomore tape, you're not paying him what he expects to. I mean, you're just not going to do it. So, again, we don't know. I don't know. It's a great mystery. I don't think Ohio State has interest in Pirich. Well, Pirich played horrible against the Buckeyes this year. I mean, look, the Buckeyes whooped on the Gophers, so that ain't Pirich's fault. But Pirich graded out terrible in that football game. He played terrible against Oregon. He did not have a good year. But he has it in him. You know he has it in him because we saw his freshman season. And maybe he wants to get back with Corey Heatherman and play in Miami. I don't blame him. He knows he slid off the table. This is not like a mystery. Look at the Gopher message boards. Half of them are like, we don't care if he had a really tough year. So I don't know, guys. We'll find out. But he's a great athlete. I mean, if he gets the ball in his hands, man, he runs like the wind. That's all I got to say. All right. So where's the great fabricator going, Greg? I don't know what that means. The great fabricator going? Skaven, yes. Explain to me what that means. I don't know what that means. I'm not smart enough to figure that out. Okay. Husker Magic. I suppose Nebraska could afford to pay Sorsby $5 million to replace Dylan Raiola. You're going to get Kenny Minchey. Nebraska looks like they're going to get Kenny Minchey. He's visiting Lincoln. Now, I put on X that he's risky. It's a risky move by Nebraska. But Kenny Minchey he was great in spring practice. He played a great spring game. He was good in August camp. It was between him and C.J. Carr. C.J. Carr beat out Kenny Minchey by that much. He's big. He's athletic. He can throw the football. It might be the exact quarterback that Nebraska needs. It's a little risky because he's only got 2 years of eligibility remaining, and he's barely played. 3 years at Notre Dame, and he's barely gotten off the bench. But he's got a lot of skill. I don't know, man. Nebraska, if they get Minchey, and it sounds like they're going to get Minchey, they might have hit a home run, or it might just go foul at the last second. I don't know. Maybe he'll come crawling back. Look, and it did say in the report that Purich hasn't closed the door to going back to Minnesota. Because Minnesota is offering him a lot of money. Probably more. I mean, they're offering him a lot of money. And they're going to let him play offense. But Purich also wants to play in the playoffs. He wants a chance at the national title. And he's not going to get that at Minnesota, unfortunately. So coaches leave for better pay, for better spots. So can players. So if Purich leaves, I've got no. I hope if he leaves, I hope he smashes it. I hope he's great at Columbus or Eugene, wherever he ends up. I hope he's fantastic. He's fun to watch when he's on. So, but anyways, all right. And plus, Nebraska's got to put some money into that offensive line. They need a right tackle. Nebraska needs an offensive line. So I don't know. I think Kenny Minchey might be the guy. All right, so we talked about Sam Levitt, right? Pribula, and you guys know I'm high on Bo Pribula. I will admit, though, he struggled a little bit more than I thought he was going to at Missouri. Something wasn't quite right with the passing game at Missouri. Great running game. The defense leaked too much. They had a schedule. Missouri Tigers had a schedule in which they should not have finished 8-5. They should have finished better than that. So am I as high in Bo Pibula now as I was last year when he left Penn State and went to Missouri? No, I'm not. According to On3, Virginia Tech and Georgia Tech are the top two schools to watch for the Missouri transfer. So Bo Pibula could go back with James Franklin. He was with them at Penn State. He could go back to play with the Hokies. Cam Coleman. I love Cam Coleman. If you watch him play, when he catches the ball, what an athlete. He's a threat. Now, he's not had as many opportunities in his first 2 years in college football like other guys, like other top wide receivers, because Auburn did not really have that quarterback, did not have that offense to really get him the football. But Cam Coleman is the real deal Holyfield. Texas is working to bring in Auburn transfer wide receiver Cam Coleman on a visit. Coleman is the number one player in On3 transfer portal, and I agree with that. I mean, you watch this kid play. You actually watch him play. If you watch him play a full game and he catches 4 footballs, that's all you need to see. That's all you need to see about him. You know he's a player. And get a load of this. It's not just Cam Coleman that Burnt Orange is focusing in on, and they're going to bring him in on a visit. The Texas Longhorns are the favorites at this moment, according to On3, to land the great running back of Louisville, Isaac Brown. If the Texas Longhorns acquire through the portal Cam Coleman and Isaac Brown to go with Arch Manning, do you know what's going to happen during the offseason? The fat guy from Minnesota is going to get back on the Arch Manning train. I'm going to be the conductor, and we are going to ride that train all the way to New York City for the Heisman. And I just might do it again. I might pick the Texas Longhorns to win it all, just like I did at the beginning of this season. Maybe I was 1 year too early. Don't do it, Greg. Don't pick Texas again. Sorry, Texas. ESPN has already started the Arch Heisman hype. If he gets Cam Coleman, if he gets Isaac Brown, the Texas Longhorns. Wow. Woo! Bob Swanger, please pick Texas. Isaac Brown is a bad man. He is. Grunk, yes, he's leaving Penn State. Grunkemeyer, yep. Texas still won't reach the playoffs. Nick Marsh is visiting Indiana. Oh my goodness. Okay, we got more portal news. We've got more portal news here. Well, let's get out the portal news. Again, the Conference Bowl records. Again, a lot of people are making a lot of hay out of this. And my position has been quite clear. Bowl games don't matter as much as they used to, but they do matter to the players who are playing, the guys who are playing that are finally getting off the bench, right? The guys who are trying to make an impression before they go in the portal, or some of the guys opt in to play the bowl game before they go in the NFL draft. It matters to some of the fan base. It matters to the coaches. But no one particular bowl game that's not a playoff game doesn't really shine any light globally, in my opinion. But you do see the trends. You often see the trends. You often see the conference that does the best in the bowl games usually does really good in the playoffs. And that is what we're seeing here. The Big Ten has had a monster postseason. In the SEC, it hasn't gone all that well. Now, I have heard some SEC podcasts today. I've listened to Alabama podcasts. I listened to a little bit of Get Up, ESPN, Paul Feinbaum, and a few other shows. SEC Mike and Cousin Shane or whatever. And I do think the Southeastern Conference, at least the people who are paid to discuss the Southeastern Conference, I think they've got a really good hold of what's going on. I'm actually a little bit encouraged by what I've heard in the last 24 hours. Basically, to a man and to a woman in SEC country, they're saying we've got to modernize our coaching staff. We got to get better coaches. We got to get more analysts. We've got to get better coordinators. We've got to commit. In the coaching ranks, they do not level up with the Big Ten. Once they get that elevated, I think they have diagnosed the problem. And that's the first step you need to do to solve the problem, is to correctly diagnose the problem in among the SEC chatter. I think they've got a good hold on what's the issue. So you know how it is. Competition. Iron sharpens iron. I think the Southeastern Conference, of course I said this last year, but I think they're going to come back next year. I think they're going to come back next year. I think they're going to make improvements within their coaching staffs. I think they're going to make improvements along the line of scrimmage, the offensive lines throughout the Southeastern Conference. And I think we're going to see the Southeastern Conference go at the Big Ten with everything they got. So, Big Ten people out there that are making a bunch of hay, and that includes me. I've said, I'm the last guy that walked over the bridge. I'm the very last guy that said, okay, all right, the SEC do not hold the dominant position anymore. But for Big Ten people out there, you've got no cushion. You've got no cushion against the Southeastern Conference. They can overlap you. They can surpass you in a blink of an eye. So I will hold off any more discussion on that unless you give me a call or a super chat. Now, Big Ten bowl games. SEC bowl games. Ryan Brooks, the Big Ten becomes dominant but then caves on the format. We are going to get into that at the back end of this monologue. But first, we're going to go through this, what we talked about in early peak Cloak and Dagger. Early peak Cloak and Dagger, episode 61 for members only. Those that are members, you've already watched the episode. You know exactly what the information that I dropped this morning. If you want to get the early peek on it, on the information, going forward in the off season, go to the link provided in the description box below the video. Hit that link and become a member. But this is the information that I put out early this morning. According to a door that has been opened to us at Peek Around the Corner, the Big Ten and the Southeastern Conference are in discussions about a new bowl alignment between the two conferences. They're going to try to add more bowl games against each other. The discussions are real, they're ongoing, and I do not know if they're going to be successful, because the last couple of subjects that the Big Ten and the SEC in the advisory groups try to hammer out, the college football playoff format and a non-conference scheduling agreement, both of those subjects went up in smoke. The SEC and the Big Ten could not find an agreement on it. So I don't know what's going to happen. But I can tell you the discussions are going on right now. Currently, the Big Ten has their arrangement with the Rose Bowl, Citrus Bowl, Guaranteed Rate Bowl, Game Above Sports Bowl, Las Vegas Bowl, Music City Bowl, Pinstripe Bowl, ReliaQuest Bowl, and you can see 3 of those bowl games, the Citrus Bowl, the Music City Bowl, the ReliaQuest Bowl, Big Ten versus SEC. The other Big Ten games, bowl games, are between the Big 12, the MAC, ACC. All right. And then if you look at the Southeastern Conference bowl games, you're looking at the Citrus Bowl, right, against the Big Ten opponent. The AutoZone Liberty Bowl. This is SEC bowl games against the Big 12, Duke versus the ACC. The ReliaQuest Bowl, Big Ten or ACC. Tax Act Texas Bowl versus the Big 12. Tax Slayer Gator Bowl versus the ACC. The Trans Perfect Music City Bowl versus the Big Ten. What we are being told, first of all, depending on, this is the great question mark, the big question mark, depending on the results of the college football playoff format negotiations, whatever the result is, once we figure that out, depending on how that's figured out, if it's 12 teams, 16 teams, the Big Ten is probably most likely going to have more bowl games. Not less, because remember, they expanded. They've got USC, Oregon, UCLA, Washington playing former Pac-12 bowl tie-in games the last 2 years. The Big Ten is probably going to add a couple of bowl games. The SEC expanded since their last bowl contract with their bowl games. They expanded with Oklahoma and Texas. There is probably most likely going to be more bowl games played between the SEC and the Big Ten. Is it 4? Is it 5? Is it 6? I do not know. But that is what they're discussing. We'll see if they can get this past the finish line. That is the information that we dropped in the early peak Cloak and Dagger episode 61. Keep your head on a swivel, members of this channel. Keep your head on a swivel, because more early peak Cloak and Dagger episodes are going to be dropping in the month of January. All right? Keep your head on a swivel. The Big Ten cave. Is it true? Is the Big Ten caving? Are they folding up like an accordion? Sports Business Journal. Your Mark backs the 16-team college football playoff expansion. The Big 12 Commissioner Brett Yormark reiterated his support for expanding the college football playoff to 16 teams and said commissioners will meet multiple times before the January 23 deadline. So they're going to meet a few more times here. But Brett Yormark once again says in public he favors the 5 automatic bids for conference champions and wants to explore extending on-campus playoff games beyond the first round, per the Dallas Morning News of this morning. So Brett Yormark in public once again, 5 automatic bids, 16-team playoff, which I can only read it as 5 plus 11. Brett Yormark is not willing to jump on the Army of 24 bandwagon. He just ain't going to do it. He's had plenty of opportunities. He ain't going to do it. More from the Big 12 Commissioner Brett Yormark prior to Thursday's Capital One Orange Bowl, as he reiterated his support for the college football playoff expansion from 12 to 16 teams that includes 5 automatic bids for the league champions, noting he and other Power League commissioners will potentially meet multiple times prior to the aforementioned deadline to reach an agreement. Yormark, we'll see what we can do or not for next year. I know everyone's been working hard. There's a lot of nuances to it, and we're working through that. Hopefully we can come together, and whatever that change may look like, we can get there sooner or later. If we stay at 12, I'm happy with that too. If we stay at 12, I'm happy with that too. The Big 12 commissioner would be happy to stay at 12. Yormark also acknowledged that any discussion of a revamped bowl season revolves around the sports calendar, remarking, how do we work together to figure out the calendar? It's a little clunky for sure. Yada, yada, yada. As I said earlier in this program, I asked the question to somebody who is positioned, chatted behind the curtain. I asked the question, why? Why is Brett Yormark not willing to say anything in public about having more auto bids? Why is he stuck on 5 plus 11 anytime he talks about it in public? Why is Tony Petitti? Why does Yormark think? Why? And then I've also been told that the Big Ten, and it's been in public reports, their knees are buckling. They're looking like they're going to go to 16. Why is that? Why are we going to 5 plus 11? I was told 2 reasons for it. One we've talked about before. The other one, I think it's a massive mistake for the Big 12 and the ACC and even the Big 10 to think that second one. Let's talk about the first reason. Why the knees are buckling in the Big 10. Why Brett Yormark is okay if we stay at 12, and he's okay if we go to 5 plus 11. Reason number one. The Southeastern Conference going to 9 conference games. The Southeastern Conference going to 9 conference games. Been told that the Big 12 has put that in their simulator, their simulations, and it doesn't look all that bad for the Big 12. The Big 10 has put that in their simulations. It don't look all that bad for the Big 10. I don't think the ACC has any simulations. So they are comforted. Brett Yormark is comforted because he thinks that the Southeastern Conference going to 9 conference games is going to lower down the SEC's positioning when it comes to the playoff selection committee because the conference is going to have more losses. It's true. The conference is going to have more losses. But I think that's a bad, massive mistake if you are comforted by that. Because all that means, Brett Yormark, if you're listening to this program, all that means that the Southeastern Conference is going to double down, triple down on the strength of schedule. We're playing 9 SEC conference games. 9 of them. We should get even more benefit of the doubt. More 4-loss teams in a 12-team playoff. We should corner the mark. We're playing each other even more. I think Brett Yormark, and to a lesser degree, but still a certain degree, Tony Petitti, I think you're comforting yourself with a 9 conference game. I think SEC going to 9 conference games, I think you're making a big mistake. We're only going to hear more propaganda. The biggest reason, because Brett Yormark could help the conversation, Mac, if he came in public and backed a 4-4-4-2-6 or some other variation of it. But here is the other reason. And we've talked about this before, and it was confirmed to me today. The other reason that the Big Ten knees are starting to buckle is because the Big Ten Conference has plans. The Big Ten Conference has plans that they want to execute within the next couple of years. And to be able to execute those plans, staying at 12 teams, 12 playoff teams, is not really conducive to pulling the trigger on those plans. The Southeastern Conference also has plans. But it is the Big Ten knees that are buckling. The Big Ten had plans to do this public capital deal with UC Investment, and it looked like they were at the 10-yard line, and they did not punch it through. The Big Ten also has plans on conference expansion. They have had maybe not a million discussions on it, but they've had plenty of discussions on it. They have gamed this thing out. They believe they can create more value in the conference. Certain teams, certain universities, certain athletic departments want certain protections. Others see more value in expanding in the Southeast. And they're not going to be able to pull this off. They're not going to be able to get the traction they need if the playoffs remain at 12 teams. So the Big Ten is sort of looking at, all right, we've got these plans, but we need the playoffs to expand. Do we take the hit on the format? We want the playoffs to get to 16, but by the end of 2030, we're going to be looking at a completely different format that we are going to be pushing. Is the Big Ten, as long as the SEC goes to 9 conference games, which they did, and this only goes to 2030, as long as the Big Ten, it sounds like the Big Ten may be prioritizing a certain expansion in the playoffs so they can execute their expansion, conference expansion plans. They are willing to sacrifice what they believe is the best format, which is not 5+11, but they're willing to sacrifice that to make sure they get the traction, to grease the skids for further expansion, because they have run the numbers on that as well when it comes to the student apocalypse, when it comes to demographics, when it comes to creating more diversity in their markets, when it comes to the national advertisers, when it comes to current and future negotiations with media partners. They have ran the numbers, and they believe another expansion, particularly hitting the southeastern part of the country, favors their institutions and their conference. But they're not going to be able to do that. They're not going to be able to do that before 2030 if the playoffs remain at 12. Yormark doesn't really want to see the playoffs stay at 12. Sankey doesn't want to see the playoffs stay at 12. But nobody outside of the Big Ten country is given any support publicly as of yet, and it's January 2nd. January 23rd is 3 weeks away. Nobody's given public support for 4-4-4-4-2-6. Not yet. So, the Big Ten knees are buckling. They're willing to sacrifice one thing to make sure they can gain a playoff expansion. So then they can execute their plan to most likely add a couple of schools and grow to 20. Because going to 20 and remaining at 12 playoff teams, that is going to be too difficult of a sell internally. Especially when you got Michigan and USC maybe not willing to extend the grant of rights 2036 to 46 UC investment. There's a lot of Big Ten schools that are saying, do we really want to expand? Do we really want to bring in schools that are not going to be willing to stick around past 2036? But I do think there is a couple of ACC schools that would be more than willing to put their chips in the middle of the table in the Big Ten and have a long, very long extended stay in the oldest conference in the country. But there has been a lot of war gaming out there in the Southeastern Conference, in the Big Ten. Brett Yormark has war gamed this out. What would happen if the ACC gets poached with this school, this school, this school? And I do think that there is a lot of powerful interest in the Big Ten. It's just like when they were talking, it's a little bit different. But when they were talking to the USC, and I got the information, and there was a lot of powerful forces that wanted Los Angeles to become a Big Ten country. There's a lot of powerful forces that want some major markets in the Southeastern Conference to become part of Big Ten country. And I think Tony Petitti is being pushed in that direction. And I think he's willing to give up the dream of more AQs for the short term to make sure the expansion happens to 16 schools. And a 5+11, which means I'm going to have to eat a cheeseburger on January 23rd. Thank you for the $2 holler, Evil Badger. Your mark is kissing ESPN's butt. That is Evil Badger's comment. Thank you for the $2 holler, Evil Badger. I don't know what's going on. I cannot figure out your mark's positioning on this. Even today in the Dallas Morning News, he says, I don't. We can get there sooner or later. If we stay at 12, I'm happy with that too. I don't understand your mark's positioning. I do not understand it. A lot of people have tried to explain it to me, but I don't understand it. And it breaks my heart. It breaks my heart as the captain of Army of 24 to be told today that the Big Ten looks to be caving on the college football playoff format. But again, they do not have the ACC and the Big 12 supporting them in public. It's a PR machine in SEC country. Tony Petitti is once again all alone. And the Big Ten is prioritizing a certainty in expanding from 12 to 16 teams when it comes to the college football playoffs. Thank you, Evil Badger. I appreciate it. Let's get to your phone calls. I know there's a lot of comments out there when it comes to the portal. I also want to thank people who have been giving me information I have not on my DM and email and stuff. I will return your comments back to you. I have not been able to get back to everybody yet. People have been sending me a lot of very interesting data and information. I just want to say thank you. I appreciate it. But I haven't been able to quite get back to everybody. The phone lines are open. 763-260-1333. Give me a call. Talk anything in college football that your heart desires. And let me know what you think is going to happen here in the semifinals. I've seen the lines. We'll talk about it in a moment. I might have to flip a quarter, guys. I might have to flip a quarter in both those games.
Call from
Talking Comics.
Talking Comics is on the line. The floor is yours. Thanks for calling, sir. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, Greg. I know we've been talking about bowl realignment and conference realignment, but I am super excited about the semifinals.
You bet.
Um, I'm a Hoosier alum, so we're
Woo!
rematching against the Oregon Ducks, and I am extremely excited for the game.
You should be.
I I
Minus
like my
4 is the
Hoosiers,
line.
but I think both sides have things that they can point to in terms of how they might play better than the last time. I think both teams have gotten a lot better.
Yes, yes. Oregon's gotten more healthier. Indiana's gotten better. I absolutely agree. Yep.
Yeah, exactly like you said. So Oregon's gotten a couple players back from injury, and when Indiana went out to Oregon the first time, Charlie Becker, one of their best receivers, was not part of the offensive game plan. So Indiana is itself much more dangerous.
Yeah.
No longer in Austin. It's a neutral site, so I would expect the issues that Indiana had with a couple false starts to probably go away.
Mm-hmm.
I think that there will be a little bit of a Hoosier contingent in Atlanta. There's already a strong base of Indiana alumni in the Atlanta area, and it's a longer trip for the Ducks, so I expect a slight shading to the Hoosiers in terms of the crowd.
Yes. They sure came. You guys sure came out in Pasadena. Holy smokes.
Yeah, I know a lot of people that went to the game.
Yeah.
I know a
Yeah.
lot of people that went to the game.
Now the last line I seen was Indiana's favored by 4, and Miami is favored by 3 over Ole Miss. So Indiana's getting a little bit of the edge here when it comes to the Vegas guys. So what do you think about that?
I think Indiana has a great chance to cover the spread with just how consistent they've played. Oregon had a couple unforced errors against Texas Tech that I would hope to see again next Friday. So I like Indiana for Miami versus Ole Miss. I think Ole Miss will be able to do enough to keep Miami off of Trinidad Chambliss. I think Trinidad's going to be able to avoid the rush a little bit on his own. I'm sure he'll take 2 or 3 sacks, but I don't think it's going to be 5 or 6 like they had against Ohio State. And I do think Ole Miss's defense is going to be able to slow down the run enough to where Carson Beck is going to have to throw more like 30 to 35 times to win the game. I think it's super close, but I would take Ole Miss over Miami.
Yeah, I can't. I looked at those lines today, and I might have to flip a quarter on both games. I don't know what I'm going to do. I can't. Whew, man, it's hard to go against Miami. It really is hard to go against Miami. And it's really hard to go
Totally
against
understandable.
Indiana. But I don't know what I'm going to do yet.
Yeah. I'm gonna think over these matchups some more as well. I'll probably call back in when
Good.
we do the actual preview show because I know there's so much to both of these games. It's going to be a fantastic 2 nights of football.
Yeah, it is. It's going to be fantastic. So, anything else?
I appreciate you doing the show, Greg.
You got it, buddy.
So that's my call. Thank you for your time.
You got it. Call again, sir.
Yeah, absolutely.
Talking Comics, Hoosier, the Indiana Hoosiers. Yeah, it's going to be difficult for me to take Ole Miss. But I don't know. They're going to be very difficult to kill in that game.
Call from
Movie Time Blues.
Movie Time Blues is on the line. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Greg. We've had discussions on this over the past few months. However, over the past day, I've been thinking, what would it take for the Big Ten to go from a discussion and behind the scenes chatter to actually executing additional conference change? And it seems that they have their answer, and it's something that's actually beyond their control, just like all the past big expansions that they had over the years. So now from your information, it seems that the Big Ten now has to move, even if they have to sacrifice their own position for the playoffs. So it's so much as it has gotten out of their control that and it's gonna have some really bad effects down the road, whatever they do.
Yeah, it is. You are correct. There are things that are out. The Big Ten doesn't control everything, right? The SEC doesn't control everything. They don't know what's going to happen with the SCORE Act. They don't know how much longer this effort is going to take. And also you've got the incentive of both conferences to, the old adage is movie time blues. The closer you get to the negotiations of your next media rights, the more leverage the conference gains. Because your media partners, if they want you back, it's more likely they're gonna acquiesce to your request as a conference. The further away you are from the next media negotiations, the old adage is the more leverage the media partners have. A great example is the Oregon-Washington thing, right? Where the media partners said, well, we can't, we've already given more money for UCLA, USC. You don't have the ability to renegotiate your media contract for another 4 or 5 years. And we're willing to give you half on the dollar, 50 cents on the dollar for the addition of Washington and Oregon. But the closer you get to the next media negotiations, the more leverage the conference has. So the Big Ten is also balancing that aspect of it. However, movie time blues, there are certain potential Big Ten candidates in the Southeast from big markets that are going to diversify the markets of the Big Ten, in which the current Big Ten media partners are very interested in. So they might be willing to deal with the Big Ten when it comes to acquiring a couple of teams before we get close to 2030, which I think is the pathway this is going to take, as long as the college football playoffs expand and the SCORE Act gets resolved one way or the other. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah. This is a bit related to this discussion, but I think I sent you a video. There was a segment in in the Kennedy and Goolsby show.
Yep.
There's a person who was connected with the industry, not exactly with college sports, but with the media industry, the studios, the entertainment divisions, and he was discussing that behind the scenes there's been so much disruption that has been happening in the entertainment industry that now that they're considering sports even more valuable than even we've thought. And the host was listening over, and he said, what will be a situation that would happen as a result? And he posited one theory that maybe independence may be coming to an end. That he didn't report anything. He related to one scenario that could happen.
Yeah. first of all, I appreciate I appreciate you giving me that video. I know quite a few people did. It was a very interesting comment by the individual. Again, it's the Always Irish podcast with John Kennedy, who does a great job, fantastic job. I love that dude. But I think the heart of that conversation that you watch Movie Time Blues and I watched on that show is, I think what the guy was really trying to say to John Kennedy and to the Fighting Irish fan base out there is this continuing disturbance, as you would call it, Movie Time Blues.
Mm-hmm.
It is this disturbance of more and more consolidation within media. Like, you see what's going on with Warner Brothers. You see, Paramount and Netflix are going at it, and there's more mergers and consolidation, more consolidation of content. And it's happening within college football. And it's almost like, does NBC, it's like it becomes more, it becomes more and more difficult for Notre Dame to keep going as a quasi-football independence in the days of all this consolidation. I mean, the Big 12 is looking at consolidating their leverage when it comes to a whole bunch of more content. They're looking at that deal. The Big 10 went through all this process. It doesn't look like they're going to get over the goal line. This case, the SEC is looking at more stuff. There's going to be jersey patch. Jersey patches are probably going to be allowed in 2026. The conferences, the smart conferences, the ones that are aligned, are going to be trying to use their conference leverage to get the best jersey patch deal, because that's how you get the most money. Not as a single entity like Notre Dame, even though Notre Dame is an incredible brand, incredible university, an incredible football program, incredible people at Notre Dame, but as a standalone in this era of more and more consolidation, it becomes more and more difficult. These conferences are looking out for their own. They're expanding their conference games. They're trying to leverage their conference when it comes to third-party money, and Notre Dame remains alone. And all of this disturbance, as that gentleman talked about, is making it more and more difficult for Notre Dame. They might be able to hold off for 5 more years. We shall see. But it's becoming more difficult. It ain't becoming more easy for Notre Dame. Go ahead, Movie Time Blues.
I want to make a comment on one of last night's games, the Georgia Ole Miss game.
Yeah.
As soon as that running back Frazier went down with an injury, I knew something was going on with Georgia. That it seems like they lost that momentum as soon as he got hurt. Right towards the end of the game, Frazier, he had a play and he got hit hard, and then he was having trouble getting it back up.
Yeah.
And
I got a question. Is Dante Moore okay? Because he was bleeding out there. He was. Is Trinidad Chambliss? I think he's okay, but I mean, who knows how healthy these teams coming out of that football, those football games are. Is Miami? Are they fully healthy? Is Oregon? We don't know the health of these teams yet. Hopefully, we'll get more information at least 48 hours before the semifinal games.
Yeah, isn't one of the Indiana defensive players still out for the playoffs? I think they announced it before the playoffs started. One of the Indiana's defensive linemen, I believe.
Right, he got injured.
Okay.
Yeah, Daly got injured. Big loss for Indiana. He's not coming back for the playoffs, so a big loss for Indiana. Yep.
Yeah. This is going to be a very, very interesting semifinal.
Yes, it is.
This is the time when Indiana really has to be careful because Oregon really wants revenge.
Yes. I think the world of Oregon. And I've been very high in Indiana. I gave everybody my best warning on the Indiana-Alabama game. I said Indiana's going to blow the doors off of Bama, and I think people are going to actually probably finally change their mind on the Hoosiers after watching that. Last year, people said Indiana did not, all they beat was nobodies and all that stuff. I have to say, if you go and beat 10 nobodies, if you want to call everybody a nobody, the way you beat those nobodies shows really how good you are. I mean, there's very good teams out there that can't respond every single week, right? They can't play up to their best every single week. This Indiana team did it last year, and they're doing it this year. When they crush somebody, like last year when Alabama lost to Oklahoma at the end of the season, that Indiana team would not have lost to that Oklahoma team this year. Indiana would not have, no disrespect to Florida State, but Indiana would not have lost to Florida State in week 1. So sometimes beating nobody, if you're looking great at beating a nobody, it kind of shows you that, yeah, you are a damn good football team. You don't have to beat great teams every week. But if you look great playing every week, no matter who you're playing, I think that means you are a contender to win it all. Texas Tech, that's what they did this year. They basically look good or great every single week. That was a fantastic football team. The Texas Tech Red Raiders. BYU, the same thing. These teams are just because they do not have the schedule like some other teams do, you can see that they're pretty damn good week after week after week after week. Consistency, great coaching, very good football rosters. So I think people got to think of that as well instead of just looking at, this team is, has this strength of record, strength of schedule, and this team is 70th, and this team is 23rd, and all that stuff. But I'll get off my soapbox. Anything else, sir?
People need, there are going to be a lot of people who are going to have to expand their understanding of college sports right now, especially with the rise of these programs like Indiana, Texas Tech, and a few more. We could see a situation where Ohio State and all those brands may have to schedule out of conference with the Texas Techs of the world, or the BYUs of the world, because there's no more guarantee that you cannot assume that you're only going to play the brands and then get through. Look at what happened to Notre Dame. They thought they could just get through based on the record, and they found out the hard way.
Yeah. So who do you think's going to win at Movie Time Blues?
I'm going to go with Oregon.
Ooh, Oregon.
I'm going to go. Yes, I think Dan Lanning is a much better coach than a lot of people give him credit for. I think the game they were a bit lackadaisical against James Madison, but they really got it together against Texas Tech.
Mm-hmm.
The defense, I'm talking about that defense.
Yeah.
That defense was much improved this past week.
Yeah. All righty, sir. I appreciate the call, Movie Time Blues.
All right.
Call again, sir. I appreciate it.
Nope. No problem.
Beautiful.
All right.
Beautiful call by Movie Time Blues. Okay, guys, I want to thank, we got a couple of donations here. Evil Badger, Buckeye Greg, thank you guys for your donations. Ricky Tungate, thank you so much for your gifted membership. I appreciate it. Thank you for all the comments, the phone calls. Again, we're going to be coming on live tomorrow, Saturday, January 3rd. Keep your head on a swivel for another early peak Cloak and Dagger episode. If you want to become a member of our program, go to the description box below the video and hit that link. And we're going to be talking more about the semifinal games and the playoff format and, of course, the portal. We've hit the portal a little bit today. It's sort of overwhelming watching all this play out. We're going to hit it hard this weekend. So subscribe to our channel. Ring that notification bell because we're going to be providing you all a lot of college football content during the rest of these playoffs and during the off season. It's going to be a crazy, crazy time in college football. And here at Peek Around the Corner, we are going to give you the peek around the pylon, the peek around the corner. So until next time, from all of us at College Football's PATC, to all of you, please, you all take great care of each other. And as always, God, family, Golden Gophers.